I'm back with Keith Boak to talk about more of his work on Doctor Who. As I said before, we focused on Rose before, but of course you were also responsible for Doctor Who's first big two-parter, the epic story of the invasion of Saline.
Yeah.
How involved were you in creating this new Doctor Who monster?
I wasn't. So let's be clear about it. Look, I know why you're asking me this, because World War III is not the most popular of the Doctor Who sagas, and I think what I was saying earlier about, look, things have to find their feet. A lot of people raised it. This was they're going to be sort of fat, farting, giggling aliens, and when I read it, and I kind of went, and I did genuinely, and said to Russell, are you sure? Because I really, and I, but he was adamant, and this was his thing, and that they farted and they giggled and they shed their skin and they turned into these Slovene, and it was, and so that's a difficult thing to kind of manufacture. And then on the other hand, we had a limited amount of budget for CGI. You could only have like 9 CGI shots, I think, for the 2 episodes or something. I can't remember the exact number. And so everything else had to be done with suits, with the costume. Now, of course, we didn't know what the CGI was going to look like, and because we hadn't been done. So, but believe me, it didn't look anything like the costume, the guys in the suits. So when you cut from one to the, it was disastrous. Not disastrous at the time. It was fine, but now people would just look and laugh. So there were kind of technical issues regarding that. That particular monster that got designed. No, all I'm saying is I took the script. I took what I was given, and we made the best. I hope the best possible piece that we could with those particular type of aliens. They were a nightmare to work with. They were not road tested as a creature. So, and I'm very good friends with Alan Rusco, who was one of the guys in the suit, and and they couldn't breathe, they couldn't see, and they couldn't move without someone walking with them and kind of positioning them and so forth. And they had to. So every time we do a shot or two, should we get maybe a couple of takes, then the head had to come off because they couldn't breathe, and then they had to be fanned down and cooled because it was like too hot in there, and then we put the heads back on, and it was a minefield to work with those particular creatures. And I think, coming back to what I was saying earlier, tonally, I don't think that was the right Doctor Who, if you want my opinion, and I'm sure it's a lot of other people's opinion, a lot of the Who fans. So, but there were some great things in it. I think there was, I loved the little pig, and I loved there was so many, I loved the concept of it. I loved the concept of the aliens coming in and kind of, seeking to take us over, and then the Doctor and all those great performances that we had. But whether it as a whole was the right tonal piece for Doctor Who, I don't know. But what I do know is probably it evolved from that, and the real correct tone for Doctor Who was probably discovered as we went through that process. So it had to be done, I think, in a way to know that wasn't maybe the right tone for the piece, that it had to be kind of perhaps a little bit darker, a little bit more, a little bit scarier in those terms. That it was very, very hard, and maybe I failed, to make giggling, farting aliens scary, but I don't know what else that we could have done. And I feel I had some fabulous performances there from those people, and everyone gave 100% to interpret that in the best way possible. So I hope people find, in retrospect, a joy in it, that it was part of our journey. And I certainly love, there was some terrific elements, the military, the as I say, the little spaceship, although the CGI now is well dated, but there was some, and as I say, some first class, acting work, and particularly as it came to the end when the Slovene were destroyed, the big build up to there, I think, Christopher and Billy and everybody were fantastic.
And you talk about the Savine being destroyed. It was the first time in Doctor Who, I think, any creature or character had just been on the cusp of swearing before they were blown apart.
That's right. Very possibly. Yeah, there were a few risks taken occasionally. And Russell was very good at taking risks. You know, he liked to be a little bit, you know, on the edge on occasion, which was great. It needed that. It needed that slight irreverence, which he brought to it beautifully. So that was really cool.
So there you are as the director. You've got these scripts. What was your first thought when you realised that you were going to have to bring a pig in a space costume to the screen?
Yeah, my first thought, I don't know what my first thought was. I just know that, you know, we went through enormous kind of preparation in trying to work out how best we could achieve, you know, these type of things with the resources that we had. So there was, and everyone invested a huge amount of time and effort in trying to make that work for us. On the one hand, it's a little bit daunting. On the other side, it's incredibly exciting because you're being presented with things that you just don't get in everyday television. You know, this was fun. So we're going to do this pig, and it's going to be like a space pig, and it's going to be running around the laboratory. And how cool is that? How are we going to do that? And then it's going to, you know, I mean, so as a challenge, you know, of course, I think that underlies the whole thing. And I think that would be the same for anybody who was given the opportunity that I was given to say, you're going to recreate Doctor Who. It's a fabulous challenge to be given, and I think, you know, anyone would embrace it with a kind of sensible level of trepidation, but hopefully a kind of childish excitement that this is so potentially enjoyable and entertaining that it you know, you have to seize it, and so we did. I hope we did as much as we possibly could to make it in that vein. You know, we weren't ruled by the fear or the lack of resources. I think we were ruled by, how can we do this? How can we make it great? Did we succeed all the time? Maybe not, but we always tried, always.
Now, you face enough challenges when you're working in studio, but that must be tenfold when you take the show on the road, as it were, and go out on location.
Yes. Yes, it is. And this, that was the, and this is always brings me to this one little tale, which is when we went to London, and this is my favorite, it's still my favorite shot in the whole of the, well, all the episodes I did, but certainly the first episode. There, we went to London, and there's the scene where Billy and the Doctor are running across Westminster Bridge, and the Tower, you know, Big Ben is behind them, and they're running, and then they run down towards the London Eye, and so I said to the BBC, could I have a red double-decker bus? Meaning, could they hire one to so that we had it there as a prop vehicle, as an action vehicle, and they said no, we can't afford it. Okay, so I kind of went, okay, fine, all right. So then we had the Doctor and Rose on the bridge, and we were then slightly dependent on real London buses crossing that bridge. Now, where that becomes really complicated is because you don't control the bus. There was some traffic lights at Parliament Square, and we just saw them stack up, and then when one came through, we could try and measure what speed it was going at and try and cue them to run at the same time as the bus was, you know, kind of approaching them, so that it all worked in perfect unison. And if you've got your own bus, you can time that and cue it brilliantly, and it all works really efficiently. But in this instance, we didn't have our own bus, so I had to depend on this, and we were, you know, as always on TV, you know, time is of the essence, and we'd had a couple of missed opportunities, meaning, you know, the bus was going too fast, so we queued them and it just wiped them out, or, you know, so we didn't see them on camera, and, you know, trying to get the timing right each time. And they were trying to get me. I remember the first AD was just looking at me saying, we've got to move, Keith. You know, we've got other stuff to do down by the London Eye, and, you know, how many, you know, what do you think? And I remember I just did one of those stubborn things, just digging your heels in and staring at the ground and just going, I ain't moving. You know, I didn't say that, but I just go, I ain't moving. And we wait, and then just literally seconds later, and it's one of those, just because luck is a huge part of filmmaking, as any filmmaker will tell you, you know, just having luck on your side in certain moments. And then there was just another bus had come around the corner and was at the lights at Parliament Square. And I just went, okay, let's just do one more. And then we went and we queued it, and we got 2 buses, came right, stacked with party regulars coming up. They queued the Doctor and Rose to run, and it was absolutely perfect. And we moved on. And that to me is like, that's the most significant moment for me. It was a beautiful moment. It's a lovely shot. I'm very pleased with it. But those are the kind of complications of working, in certain, particularly in busy areas, which London certainly was at that time.
So in the episode Aliens of London, you were charged with directing essentially the first cliffhanger on Doctor Who in 16 years, and they threw everything at it. What was the trick for ranking up the tension at the end of the episode?
Yeah, I don't know what the trick is. I really don't. All I do remember is they kind of screwed it, because we did if you remember, at the end of Aliens, the first episode of World War III was the Doctor's, I think he's on his knees being electrocuted. And the music cuts in and you think, oh my God, the Doctor's going to die. And then they showed a trailer of next week, and of course he's alive. And so it kind of killed it in seconds, as being like, no one had quite thought that one through. So the great thing about those things is it was kind of boyish. And when I say boyish, it's boyish girlish. It's like being back in your own kind of front room, watching that kind of stuff when those cliffhangers happen. And I remember Phil Collinson in the edit, you know, because he was in front of the edit desk, and when the music kicked in and all that, and he just raised his head with this kind of holy shit, you know, kind of thing going on. And it was, you know, it's just how we all felt, because it was fun. It was fun to sort of imagine that kind of cliffhanger, slight melodrama, but what the hell, it's Doctor Who, and it has a right to that, you know. It was it was fun.
So when the episodes were broadcast, did you sit at home and watch yourself?
Not myself, but obviously I did watch it with some friends when it went out. And of course that's when Graham Norton cut in on it. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
So you know, it was live, and it was the weirdest thing ever. How that happened, we don't know. But you know, Graham, just as you remember, Rose was going down into the basement to where the Autons were, and you could hear Graham Norton's voice, bless him, talking about how scary it was, and and then it just cut out, you know. But he's very much there. That's what I remember about that particular day, I think. And then I think you just remember that it just did so well, you know, that it got. I don't think any of us anticipated that. I think it was 10.2 million or something watched it, and I think we were thinking maybe 6 or 7, maybe if we were lucky. So it really was a surprise that it was that. And I think people, you know, I was thrilled that people liked it. That's all. That you know, kind of dads liked it, and then their kids liked it, and they liked it because it still kind of reminded them of their childhood, but it sort of had something new for younger folks to appreciate it, which is essential, because that was the whole point. You know, you know, dads weren't going to watch it forever. You know, it was essential that you know, boys and girls of a new generation kind of took it to heart, and yeah, I hope they did. They seem to. It's still there.
Well, for what it's worth, I loved it, farts and all. So it was great. It was brilliant. I think that's the first time I've said farts in an interview before.
It is. It's an odd one. Yeah, it's an odd one. But hey, there it is, and it's part of the history now, and I love it for that. Really, I love it for that reason. It's, you know, part of Doctor Who's journey.
Well, one last question before I let you go. Can you still, or could you ever say, the home planet of the Slovene?
Sorry, say that again. Oh, the no. I don't think I ever could.
Oh.
That's right. I don't think I ever could. Can you say it?
Oh, now he's put it on me. Oh, hang on. I used to be able to.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, no, I don't think I could ever say it.
Well, Keith, it's been a pleasure chatting to you.
Likewise, John, really, really nice to talk with you.
Thanks very much for giving up your time and sharing your memories with us.
My pleasure.
Cheers.